I think the organization, the communication on the sideline. Um, I've been conscious to stay off the field and not speak, to the guys and everything. Just more as you get closer to 8:31, you want to make it as game like as possible. So the coach is stepping back and letting the guys organize themselves, communicate themselves, operate substitutions the right way. We just did it right now, and I didn't like how that went. Got a penalty on that, so I need to make sure we're clear on that. And but you wanna make sure you're logistically sound that way.
Coach Rule and the offensive coaches made it sound like the defense got better than last Saturday. What was your perspective on that?
I just think that there are some guys that played really fast and physical. Again, the X's and O's part we can always correct, but it was very fun to watch some of the guys be able to line up and play without thinking, and that goes back to what the coaches are teaching in the classroom, Dr. Haskell and the mindfulness that she's doing with the guys right now, getting guys to absorb the information and be able to process it that fast. I think it was a good day for both. We made plenty of mistakes, and there's some guys who showed up and some guys who could play better. So again, that's what camp is.
When's the cutoff point, or have you hit it when you tighten up the volume of what you want to run, or you don't do as much?
Oh, we've been adding and subtracting some things. Just what we do well, what we don't. That went back from the self scout. That was huge, and making sure we were practicing the stuff. I mean, I know, in camp sometimes you kind of go and just plays, and then you look and say, are we going to actually use this in 8:31? So it was good to scale back on some of those things, for myself, and then call more of the things we weren't good at or that we're going to actually use. So it was a good deal.
How's the defensive line progressed from the beginning of camp to now? What do you like with those guys?
Well, first I like the zero. I like the zero on the nose guard. I think it's kind of cool. But I think those guys are playing their butts off right now, and testament to Coach T. Knight and the bond he's created with those guys and with each other. I can hear him in the meeting rooms. This part in camp, it's so much X's and O's in football. The stress builds and everything, but you can always hear laughter. You can always hear guys being free in the room. So that's a good sound. And then those guys up front. I mean, when you see them come off the ball and you see them play, that's the most noticeable, right? Because the front is where it starts. And when those guys are playing physical and fast, you got a chance. So I like where those guys are at.
You mentioned single digits too. What does that mean? That a lot of those guys are on the defensive side.
Oh, I mean, that's a testament to them. I didn't do anything. Those guys are OOU guys, and it's really cool when that kind of reward comes from the team. That coaches are out of it. It's a team honor. And it's really neat for good guys to be rewarded, and those guys are good guys. Not that we don't have a lot of them in the locker room. It's really fun to see, because those are the guys who you kind of notice early on that they were doing things the right way, and it's cool that they got rewarded that way.
Coach Nick Hendrick was one of those single-digit guys coming off a serious knee injury. What have you seen from him in fall camp? Is he playing as fast as he was what he looked on tape last year?
Yeah, you see a veteran right away. He's played a lot of football, so you can see the reactions right away. He can see run pass, whereas a younger guy or guys who haven't played, let's say if it's play action, they're fooled a little bit easier, or you can see that veteran in them. And for as I always say, his demeanor being quiet, he's a fun guy to be around. He's lively, man. He's all about conversation. He's all about Nebraska. So it is really a joy for me to watch him run around, especially, that was a big injury for him. And sometimes, guys are scared when they come back, and for him to be amongst his teammates and guys that he truly loves to be around, and his roommates and single digits and running around, I think it's great for him.
That's a zero that you mentioned. What kind of growth have you seen from Nash since you got him?
I think he's playing with a confidence that he's bestowed with. I mean, he is all capable of anything he wants to do, and now he's given a chance to be one of the guys in the limelight, and he is making the most of it. I mean, he's being physical, he's knowing what to do, he's getting guys lined up, and I mean, he is truly developing the way you want him to develop.
How cool is that part of coaching to find a guy like Cole, who's a little bit hidden around
Yeah, that's what this place is. That's what Coach Rule said from day one about developing players. And that's the neat thing with me being able to learn from him is to see, guys. People coach speak all the time, say things all the time, but it's one thing to apply it, and just the constant attention to who else can help us. Can they help us here? Can they do this? Can they move? What about if we moved them here? Never forget anybody on that roster. So it's a great learning experience, but it's great to see it applied on the grass to the team, and then see a guy like Bullock come away with, again, a single digit and a chance to really play.
Was it like day one, you kind of spring, you're like, man, this guy's got a little something? Or
You can see athletic ability. I mean, you can see the twitch, you can see athletic ability, but you can see the mindset. Like he's Nebraska. Like he is all in. He is blue collar. He is like, I want this deal, and he's a great teammate. Again, I go back to the great teammate part. Like it's neat when the person gets to be rewarded for the football player, not the other way around. You know what I mean? And you root for those guys. And Bullock, Heinrich, Luke, Nash. We got a lot of T-Rob. Blaze. You got a core group of guys here who you want to see do well.
Back to Bullock, is there a specific memory that you have? It's like this guy.
Well, I remember he was running around at safety, and then I remember the day Coach Rule was like, "Hey, I think he can help us, somewhere else. Let's try. Let's see what he can do because I like his traits. I like what he's about. He's an OU guy." And then we did it, and that it started with Coach Rule. Again, seeing what we didn't see at first. We saw the athleticism and all this kind of stuff, and then we get into the motions. But then it's Coach sitting back and watching everybody in the roster and saying, "Hey, how about this? Let's do this here." And then we moved him, and Coach Rob got with him, met with him extra, caught him up on the stuff, and taught him what he needed to be taught, and let him loose. And sure enough, he's balling. So it's cool, very cool.
What's been the value of Quentin Newsome? Maybe not just for the secondary where he has that experience, but also just as a guy. Maybe for you guys as coaches who've done that.
Yeah, it's like with Nick, right? When you got a guy who's played a lot of ball, nothing really spooks him. He's very calm, and they can learn fast. They get the schematics. They just get the game, the in between the snaps, and you can see that with him. He's got a chance to be one of the best DBs. I don't want to say corners, DBs in the conference. Period. So it's about him and his maturity and saying every play he can be that guy, and he's done a nice job so far.
Why would he be one of the best?
He's athletic. He can play the ball. He's shown. I think that he always knew he was physical, but he's putting it on the grass now. Coming up in the run game, the emphasis with the DBs, Coach Coop, Chev, Coach Rule about physicality on all fronts. It's showing up, and that's the part of the game that I think is everybody. You knew he could play the ball, you knew he can backpedal, he had good feet, but he's playing the run and he's physical on those blocks, and I think the confidence is building in him. So it's cool.
One of the questions you'll hear about the defense is there enough depth up front? Big dude depth.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
That's a question everywhere, man. Every school, Georgia, man, every school is saying this, we ain't got enough big guys, right? But again, I look at skill sets. That's why you got guys like MJ, the 250, 255 pounders. You got Blaze, 260. And then the true emphasis on rotating and playing a lot of guys in there, so that way if you could take 10, 15, 20 snaps off in the early season, that's 10, 15, 20 snaps you're going to get later on in the season. So I think that's the way you keep them fresh, is just to be able to rotate those guys in, take early snaps off of them so you got them late.
Your defense defends Jeff Sims. What in particular do you notice about Sims?
Sims is a different player. He's a totally different player, and that goes top down. Body wise, athletic. He was always gifted athletically. I remember playing him when I was at my old school, and you can see the talent there. He is just I think he's on a different level with Coach Rule and Coach Sat with him. Adam DeMichael, those guys being there. Corey, Dr. Haskell, working the mind. Again, he's fun to watch, especially seeing him back then and seeing him now. He's fun to watch back there, so it's cool.
What's the change from then to now? What's the foremost change?
I think when you're a quarterback, you're all-encompassing, right? You see him and you say, oh, he can run and do all that stuff. I think his reads, I think his confidence in the pocket, I think his maturity, I think his strength, his arm. You name it. The guy has really put in the work to be a leader in this system at Nebraska. So it's on defending him on the other side. He's making me a better coach for sure.
Tony, what about
Yeah, with Luke, it's funny because with Luke, when it's not live, you're always wondering if he was going to trigger and, hey man, come on, let loose. He's one of those guys who don't want to make a mistake so much to the point where, like, there's some plays that he could actually make. He just wouldn't let it loose. This last Saturday was probably the most aggressive I've ever seen him. I mean, he was in the backfield so many times. I mean, his physicality is awesome to watch. So I kind of joke with him. I'm like, there's two sides to him. There's the thud side, and then the live let me go kill somebody side. So I'm like, okay, Luke, it's fun. And again, if you can go out there and see the smiles that those guys have on their face, but while they're working, in the grind of it, as physical as the practices are, as much as competing as there's going on, you look on the sideline and those guys are in tune with it and they're laughing and joking. But then when their time is up, they're running through guys and dominant contact and Huskers. It's really a joy for me.
In the secondary, do you have a sense of what that rotation would look like? Are you talking 6 guys, 10 guys?
There's a lot of guys. We're messing around with the rotations right now. We had a lot of guys rotating at different spots and all that stuff, so I won't say anything right now. Yeah.
Would you like to rotate a number?
Oh yeah. Same thing with the front. Again, the injuries happen all over the place. So you want, and plus later on, what happens is you would never, especially in November, December, you don't want the new guy going in there with no snaps, right? You want guys to play as much as they can.
You talked about last one, Buckley, a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
about how he's a guy who's bought into the system, who's really developed. Now that you've gotten more live and you've done more scrimmages, how have you seen him perform with this team?
Same. I mean, again, you see him out on the field and you love what Ruquan has transformed into. And again, it's not a surprise that he's going to play. It's not a surprise. The person he is, and then translating to on the grass and how he's transformed his body and stuff in his mind. I mean, it's cool. So we'll see what he does on the grass. Yeah. Appreciate everybody. Thank you.